It is a beautiful, rainy, early November morning, and I'm getting the winter that I wanted. Last winter, snow November 3rd, didn't go away till mid-April. So today, I've got a major operation going down here, psychological operation for small farming. I call this Operation Pied Piper. I gotta move my chickens, okay? The layers, the meat birds are done. Meat birds were in that coop on this pasture and that pasture up there and another pasture back behind my house all summer. Rotated around. That coop is fantastic for that. I can move it with my skid steer. My layers spend the spring, summer, and up until now here because I use that other coop for the meat birds, basically. And so the layers have been accustomed to this coop for the last 8 months. And I've got 2 crops of birds now. I guess I added about a third to my flock in April because I got a couple new roosters and one of my hens had a small clutch of chicks. There was 1 rooster and 4 chicks out of there. So that's about a third, that I increased my flock by. And so now I got to move them in here. But I don't really want to round them up because it's a pain in the ass, it's messy, and it's wet out right now. I just don't want to do it. So this is where we initiate Operation Pied Piper. And you're probably, many of you, I'm sure, familiar with the story of the Pied Piper. The long and short of it is there's the flute playing Pied Piper who's leading the children with a song to a special place, right? And so that's essentially what we're doing here. We're moving them to a special place, a new coop where they'll actually be more comfortable. And I'm pretty certain that my egg production will go up. It seems to me when the chickens, this is just my observation and take it for what it's worth, but it seems to me that when my chickens are in a smaller coop and have a tighter space together, they're kind of forced to keep each other warm. And in the winter, that's a very comforting feeling, as it would be. So they actually just like this coop better. I can keep, believe it or not, I can keep 30 birds in that coop, and they all have room to roost. There's 4 2x4s crossing over in there at about equal spacing. This is about 3.5 feet wide by 8 feet long, and about 30 inches high with the gable. So the gable at the top is probably about 5.5 feet. And so I think I've got about 18 birds now. And so they're making their way. Look at this. Operation Pied Piper is well underway. And here's the neat thing too, that I just love about observing animals is just you'll find certain birds just have more or less of a tendency to explore and move on. And the meat birds, I kept 2. So I kept one of the cocks and I kept one of the hens from my meat birds. Just see what happens. See if I can breed them. Roxy, get out of there. Roxy, here. See if I can breed them. And, I just like to play around. So what I've done here is, I don't want to move. I don't want to round up birds. I got other things to do. I get shit everywhere. It's not nice. And I am a communist dictator when it comes to my farming, just like I am in my family. Communism is a very important value we have here on the farm and here on my family. And only in those 2 places, because those are the only 2 places that I think communism makes sense. But here, we're playing a communist psychological game of attrition. And if you don't move, you will die. You will not eat. So the birds will naturally find their way. And they've got a nice little trail that I made where I just spread out some dry feed, okay? And it leads to the Shangri-La of chicken coops. And here we've got one of my high tunnels. This is my unheated high tunnel. This year I did tomatoes in there. I'm just gonna kind of leave them. And people go, oh, tomatoes are poisonous for chickens. Haven't found that. Having said that, they'll most likely eat the leftover tomatoes and not the foliage. They'll just scratch the foliage up. But yeah, so they're gonna come along here, and I've got my coop, my winter coop, butted right up to the greenhouse. You might ask, why didn't I put the coop in the greenhouse? And that's a good question. The answer is that in a high tunnel like this that doesn't have any automation, in the shoulder season like this, and even in the winter, there's massive swings in humidity levels in here. It'll go on on a warm day, it'll get up to 20, I'm talking cold winter day even. It'll be minus 10 or 20 or 15 degrees Celsius out, or 15 Fahrenheit outside. And it'll go up to 20 Celsius and 60, 70 Fahrenheit in the day. But the humidity level will go from 50 to 100%. And that's a good thing, but it's not a good thing in a coop, because in a coop, when you get the humidity in there, the water gets in the wood, it just gets really damp. Then it goes down to minus 20 Celsius at night, and then the chickens get hypothermia. And so you don't want that. And so that's the reason that it's out of the coop or out of the high tunnel. And I've got it all kind of ridged together here. So all I did is I just brought my skid steer. I moved the coop over. I have it on these just 3 stacked pallets, and I also put skis on the bottom of the thing. This is built on a metal frame. It's just a DIY thing I made with scrap material. There's not much to it, but it's an open air coop, okay? So it's open all the way on the front. And I've done videos on this in the past, but so I've just got it butted right up against the high tunnel here, and I just unwiggled some of the wiggle wire and stuff here, and then just flipped that plastic up. And then I put a couple scrap pieces of plywood just sitting right there. I can just take it out. But it's enough to keep the chickens going right into the greenhouse, because I don't want them out here. There's going to be so much snow. We get so much snow up here, and I'm fingers crossed that I'm not going to have snow for a little while. But I'm really over prepared this year, and maybe I'll do some more videos on other things that I'm doing for preparation for big snow winter as we have up here. Is what I've done here is, so coop's butted right up against it. I took some extra construction poly or scrap greenhouse poly, whatever you want. It doesn't have to be poly. This is just to get the snow away from here. So I just created a little bit of a channel gutter, and I just unwiggled some of the wiggle wire there, put this piece of plastic in, wiggled it back in just to hold it, right? And then it just goes over, and it's just whatever. It's just kind of, tied into this one a bit. It's the reason for this is to just so that the snow doesn't pile up in between, which becomes annoying in the winter, because if I have to do snow work, but I don't want to be crawling under things with another type of shovel to deal with it. I just want to run my snow blower, run my snow blower, or use one type of shovel. I don't want to schlep around to the tools and do more tasks. So this just basically and I just used some clips. So a 1-inch spring clamp on there, spring clamped it around there, and just covered the roof up. And yeah, it looks kind of crappy and DIY, but who cares? It's a farm, it's a homestead. And so that's going to shed all the snow. And I'll have some more updates later in the winter about how this is going. But you can just see it's just going to move all the snow to the side. And then when I do my winter snow chores, that's why I did this path here in Crush. This isn't really for vehicles. Well, I can bring my skid steer in here. And it's an access terrace, basically. My land is so topographic that I have to, put effort into paths and things like that. But they're great because there are opportunities to shed water and direct water and use it in a variety of different ways. And I've gotten multiple features on my homestead that do that. And I can move water to places and focus it and move it back. And even with the gutters and the drainage on my house here, for example, it all comes out in 2 places. And one of my plans to do in this eventually is to direct that into a small pond, because it's crazy how much water is coming off here in the rainy season. It's unbelievable. Move that into a small pond, or even a container like an IBC tote, and then just pump it uphill into my other pond. which doesn't have a natural way of, I have 2 ponds. I have a reservoir pond that catches water, and I have a higher pond that I have to feed with either from the well or from ways like this. And so it doesn't feed itself. So I could just direct that into my pond, and that's kind of my long-term plan on here. Why did I get derailed on that? Oh yeah, because of talking about this path. But yeah, so that is Operation Pied Piper. It's well underway, and the more I just get out of here and just let them do their thing, the faster we're gonna fulfill this operation. Because you can see what's happening now is, here's one of the top cocks here. This guy, we call him Carrot, and he's one of those meat birds, which is I can't. It's not a Freedom Ranger. It's anyways. It's not that important. He's leading the way. And that other hen who's in his flock from the meat birds is also short behind him. And a couple of the other hens are there too. So they've already eaten all the feed, that last path. And so they're just going to keep following this, because top cock Carrot there, he's just going to lead the way. And then they're going to see him spending time over here. And then they're all going to wonder what's going on. And this is what's so brilliant about how you can just move animals. It's actually kind of like how you can move around people through propaganda, right? Just what's the current thing, flip it on, and people just gravitate towards that. It's that these false dichotomy decisions through these dialectics that things like the New World Order use. And we can employ some of their tactics to the farm here. And so I guess I could probably thank somebody like Zygmunt Brzezinski or Henry Kissinger for giving me such great psychological operations that I can employ. And it works well on the farm. So they're coming over. Inside, like I said, it's Shangri-La. It's dry. It's warmer. I've got some fermented feed there. I got their dry feeder there, which doesn't need feed in it yet. I mostly feed them fermented feed. Actually, all the time. The dry, I'm just using dry feed right now to get them over here. I ferment their feed constantly. And I get 3x the value out of it, which is important when you're using organic feed because it's expensive. But I've got their water here. And this is a plug-in waterer, which I'm going to run some power down here from an extension cord for the winter. I've also got some heat power in this. Not heat, but heat mats underneath the eggs. The egg boxes. I'll show you real quick. I just want to get out of the rain. But right under the egg boxes here, I've got these heat mats here. And those just prevent the eggs from freezing. They don't produce enough heat to heat the coop at all, because the coop's completely open air. There's nowhere for the heat to stay, so it just flows out. But they've got a whole buffet of things they can eat here. They say chickens like 3 things in about thirds: grains, greens, and grubs. And you can feed your birds on just 2 of those things. And so my goal is to start, and I'm already well underway, is to just give them more greens and grubs and accept less egg production. That's okay, because I produce so much green and grubs on my farm because I do biointensive farming. And I use ecological ways of managing my soil, that I'm feeding the soil, I'm building the soil, the organic matter in my soil is increasing every year, that there's more grubs, i.e. bugs, worms, what have you, in there as a result. And I always have an excess of foliage, greens, to feed the chickens, because we grow, here on this homestead, we have about, so all of our gardens are terraced, and there'll be a drone shot at the beginning of this video, you can kind of see it. But we've got about a 1/4 acre of total square footage of garden space now on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and soon to be 6 terraces. So we'll actually have a little bit more than a 1/4 acre, maybe a third by next season. And we grow all of our vegetables. Like, I'm finally there where, well, actually that's not, we're not 100% there, but we're getting there. I flaked out on a couple plantings this year, and I've actually been buying some greens from a local grower I know. But, greens, me of all people, right? But yeah, I got caught up in construction this summer and didn't really, missed a few plantings. But needless to say, we grow a ton of our own food. And so we have all of that. Vegetable production's well underway. I'd say we're almost independent with that entirely. And then next is going to be the food forest. And there'll be more videos about this next season. Nothing's going to happen with it this fall. I'm not doing a fall tree plant, though. I got lots of trees I could plant. These are all my nut trees, little nut tree nursery here. I got all kinds of fruit trees and stuff to put in, and shrubs as well, but it'll be the spring. But this is about a 1/4 acre size and just total square footage around of a terraced food forest. There's 8 different terraces. It's all on contour, though slightly positive. So each contour isn't perfectly level. It's just slightly off so that they shed. So when I get big rains like this, and this is nothing right now, but I'll get hammered with rain only a few times a year, but everything will surge. And so my soil up here, because we're on a mountain site, and we're on this little 8-acre area we live in, was logged 50 years ago. There's still some of the old, actually there's not a lot of old stumps anymore. There's a couple down there. So forest, deforestation, clear cutting really destabilizes soil in a really bad way. And it's the number one reason you see flash floods in places like British Columbia, while the media is telling, climate change. No, it's just clear cutting that means snow melts a lot quicker on a cut block, opposed to in a tree line, and it surges the rivers. And so anyways, where was I going? We have very unstable soil by nature. And so I had to build my soil, and the animals are part of that. My biointensive gardening is part of that. My deep mulching is part of that. I do very low till now. I might till a bed once in a season, but not every bed will get tilled once a season. So I probably till at this point 60% of the time on a bed, and most of the time they just get a layer of mulch, or I just fork them. I just deep fork them. But so we get a lot of water, and there's a reason to move it. And I went on this tangent because I was talking about greens and vegetables and food independence on the homestead. And the food forest is a part of the plan. And greenhouses, we have this high tunnel, which allows a high tunnel allows you to farm in a cold climate like mine. DFB zone 5 allows you to farm 10 months of the year, grow 10 months of the year. We have the passive solar greenhouse, which allows me to grow 12 months of the year and keep like tropicals and figs and things like that alive. And then the hothouse, which is a high tunnel just like this one, but it's heated with PEX hydronics that come from our wood boiler, which is there, which isn't running yet, and it also has a climate battery. So with those things, we have a lot of year-round food production happening. And we do meat birds. So now we produce our own chicken. We did 30 birds this year. They're all in the freezer now, and we're already eating them. And it's awesome. And going back to this subject of chickens, that's a big part of my goal, is to eliminate grain. But it's a transition. You can't just do it. Because our land is so, it was a clear cut, right? And we're regenerating a clear cut, a 50-year-old clear cut, building back the soil, the terracing, the water management, all those things are a part of the regeneration of this land. But the greens are a big part of the chickens, and I would love to reduce the amount of grain I use. And, because look at what happened last year. Look at all that BS. I think it was when it was around the time that Ohio train derailment happened with all the chemical spill, the PVC stuff that went everywhere. And then people were reporting chicken feed. All of a sudden their chickens aren't laying eggs, right? So we can't trust the system. The system has intentionally, in my opinion, discredited itself over the 2 years of COVID and a number of just failed psychological operations. And you need to, now more than ever, take control of the things that you need to survive as best as you can. If you're not taking steps towards this, I wish you the best of luck. But that's where we're at, and we're trying to demonstrate that here on the homestead. And look at this. It's all well underway. They're making their way to the Shangri-La. So anyways, folks, quick note. I probably won't be on YouTube much longer. It's almost pointless to post here most of the time. I'm getting 100 times more engagement on Twitter, though my audience is still small there. But it's so much more rewarding because I just get more views there. So you should follow me there at Off Grid Stone. I'm posting all kinds of gravy on there. I'm really enjoying Twitter as a platform. And I got a long ways to go. You know, here we're at the time of this video, maybe 590,000 subscribers. And maybe on average, some of my average video gets 20,000. My best video will get 100,000 views. On Twitter, almost all of my followers see my posts on the best ones. So I don't know what it is. It's not that important. The metrics aren't that important. It's kind of boring, actually. But for a guy like me who's made videos for you for 10 years, started on YouTube in early 2014, in January 2014. So going on 10 years this year, bit of an anniversary. But I've been posting there for a long time, and I put a lot of my life effort into creating content to show people an example on how to do something. And, you know, if you like it, great. If you don't, no problem. But it's a lot more rewarding posting in places where you just get more engagement, because it's the engagement that matters. I don't care about the money in it, because I don't really make much revenue on YouTube anymore. We make money on our platforms like freedomfarmers.com, which I would encourage you to, if you want to support my work and learn about regenerative agriculture, head over to freedomfarmers.com and fromthefield.tv, where we've been posting for many years. Those two places are how you can support me. But I'll keep you guys posted. And it looks like it's well underway. It's so funny how it's the rooster, the new hen, might be one of his siblings. You don't really know, because these meat birds, they come from you get them from a nursery, basically. But either way, it's same breed. And then another one not too far along. And all the idiots down here who are just sitting there watching, maybe they're not idiots, because if this Pied Piper operation was heading them to the slaughterhouse, maybe they wouldn't be idiots. But in this case, they are, because this environment is going to be a lot better for them. So it really is a form of communism, and we're witnessing some form of attrition, because if they want to eat, they better come here. And here's another thing that I did. This video is all over the place. My apologies, but one thing I did on that coop is I took the door off because I needed it here. These automated doors. So that one, it was over there. I took it off and put it here. I had another one, but it broke, and I wasn't able to fix it. So took the door off there, and I closed it with some wire mesh. So this is a serious war of attrition, because not only are they not going to get any food or water there, they're not going to have a place to coop up, and that means I'll probably lose a day or two of egg production, and I'm willing to sacrifice that, in that this is going to save me so much dirty work that I don't really want to do. And so yeah, this door is going to remain wide open. All this feed and the water, really nice new coop that's all cleaned out and dry. You know, they're going to figure out what's best for them. So I'm going to leave it there for now, folks. Again, follow me on Twitter at OffGridStone, and check out freedomfarmers.com. Okay, folks, see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching, folks. If you want to learn any more about the products and services that we offer, head over to freedomfarmers.com. We can teach you how to get on the land and everything else from there.